Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. There are many of you who are working from home. I have been working remotely for about 3 years now for 3 different companies, and there are some tips and tricks of what I've used to help me to become really productive with my work. I've been a top performer in all of these companies, even with working remotely, because I've done these tips. If you are looking for ways that you can become more productive when working from home, then just keep on watching. And don't forget to hit that like button as well as subscribe to the channel if you found some value in this video. All right, now let's jump into these tips. So my first tip is for you to find a note-taking system that works best for you. The thing about working remotely is that you are in a lot of meetings typically, and in those meetings a lot is being said, and if you don't have the right note-taking system to figure out what is being said and use those later, then you will definitely be missing out on key information that you will need to know. So I don't only just take notes when it comes to my job, I also take notes when it comes to planning out my content. And so for personal use, I love to use Notion. If you haven't seen my last video where I talk about using Notion as a to-do template, then you'll definitely want to check out this video too. But when it comes to work, because we are a Microsoft Office suite, I like to use OneNote just to keep everything all in one platform. The thing I love about OneNote is that I'm able to keep all my notes together. I'm able to do bullet lists, tables, really stay organized with all of my notes for meetings, but I also like to keep a weekly task list that includes like cleaning up my emails, any emails that I need to send to anyone, as well as like any follow-up tasks that I need to do, and I set them out for each and every day of the week. I have been doing this for years now, and it is something that has made it so much easier for me to do my work. If you are struggling to keep notes organized, especially if you like using paper notes, I find that I get so overwhelmed with keeping paper notes. It's hard for me to keep track of all the paper, and I just find it hard also to reference it back later, even when it comes like weeks and months later. And I will say that there have been times where I've had to look back at my old notes from months prior, and I was so glad that I was using Notion because I was able to find exactly what it was that I was looking for. Now, if you're using OneNote to keep notes while you're in a meeting, then I would use it not only to write the notes, then I encourage you not only to use the notes for just like keeping notes during the meeting, but it can also help with meeting prep. So if I have any questions that I need to ask, or if I have an agenda that I'm writing, then I can keep all of that in one place, then keep notes during the meeting. Then after the meeting, I can review the notes and then also send them out easily because I have them already in one place. I know there are so many different types of note-taking systems. If there's something that really works well for you, then feel free to leave that in the comments just so that everyone can see what works for different people and they can try different things out. The thing about Microsoft Office Suite, or just OneNote in general, is that it is a paid service. Notion does have a free tier, and so that's what makes it more accessible to people who may not want to be paying for something yet, or if you just want to try something out. I'm not sure if Microsoft has a free tier or if they have a trial version, but if you do know if they have a trial version, then definitely leave that in the comments as well. So my second tip on how to be productive when working from home is that you must check your calendar. Now, whether you decide that you want to have a calendar for work that you use as a paper calendar, or you like to use a calendar that is digital, then you definitely want to review that before you get started with your day. It really helps you to prep for what it is that you have coming for the day, and at least for the most part, you're less likely to have surprises. I'm very lucky that in my company, it's highly unlikely for me to get a meeting invite the day of a meeting, but just in case you do have that type of environment, you can still at least know what it is that you have coming up for the day. Now for me, I like to check my calendar the day before, but I also like to check it again in the morning just to make sure I'm on point with what it is that I have for the day. And if I do need to prep for any meetings, then that's when I'll use OneNote. There are many different options when it comes to calendars, whether it's Outlook or Google Calendar or iCal, like whatever works best for you or whatever works best for your system, then that's what I suggest that you use. Now, I wouldn't say that I'm a fan of meetings, but I like to be prepared for them. Especially being a product manager, I have a lot of communications that I have to do with different teams, and I like to be prepared for all of my meetings. And so if there is a meeting that's being put on my calendar and I'm not too familiar with what the topic is, I always like to ask for an agenda, just so that I can make sure that I am preparing for whatever it is that needs to be done. And if I'm not familiar with it as well, I will also ask the person who's sending the meeting invite for maybe a synopsis of what the meeting would be about, as well as if they need any information from me that I may need to get prior to the meeting. It's always really difficult when you're in a meeting and someone's asking information for you and you have no idea what it is that they're talking about because you didn't know that they needed that exact information from you. So it just helps you to be more prepared, helps the meeting to flow more easily, and helps you feel like you are providing value to the meeting. So I will also say that I end up leading a lot of stand-ups for work, and so with that I like to also prep my screens maybe like 5 to 10 minutes before the actual meeting. I open up my browser to all of the screens that I need for the meeting. That way I'm not opening them up during the meeting because it's just a waste of time. If I'm trying to figure out what information is needed for the meeting while I'm in the meeting, then it's typically too late, especially if I'm sharing my screen. And I hate to be that type of person that's wasting everyone's time. Typically, I only have 30-minute meetings, and you want to make sure that those 30 minutes are valuable. And if the meeting ends early, even better. I always want to be as efficient as I can, and prepping by having my screens open makes it so much easier to be that type of efficient. So my third tip, I would say, isn't necessarily something that everyone needs to do, but because I'm a little anal about having too many emails in my inbox, this third tip has made me feel less stressed when it comes to looking at my inbox. So for my work emails, I typically have less than 20 emails in the morning and 20 emails by the time I sign off at the end of the day. That has made me feel less overwhelmed about any information that someone needs from me in order for them to go about their day. I hate thinking that I'm a blocker for someone else's work. And when I haven't responded to emails, then most likely that person isn't able to do what they need to do because they're waiting on an answer from me. I just hate that feeling. So I like to go through my emails typically earlier in the morning when I first start my day, and then I'll do it again in the evening. Now I may check my emails throughout the day, maybe a little bit during like my lunch break or maybe between meetings, but I'm not focused then on necessarily answering the emails. I might just be scanning them just to make sure no information is needed for me, but then the actual clearing them, moving them, and organizing them into folders really reduces my anxiety. So my third tip is probably the hardest, and that is to put down your phone. I will say I am definitely guilty of being in my phone multiple times a day, especially because one of the products that I work on is actually a mobile app, and because I do testing on it, I need to have my phone open. But when I'm not testing on that app, then I don't really need my phone. I do like to listen to music, and sometimes I will take little mini breaks and I might like hit Instagram or LinkedIn for a little bit, but I find myself just scrolling like everyone does, and then 5-10 minutes later it's just time wasted. And the thing about it is that you may not realize is that when you are distracted, it actually takes you longer to start your work again. Whatever thought that you may have had in your mind is pretty much lost, or it just takes you longer to find it again because you've been distracted by being on your phone. And it might not even be a social media thing. It might be that you're playing games on your phone. You might be checking texts, especially if you're a parent and you may be on your phone, like making sure that your kids are okay. These are all just distractions. The thing about it is that if you have an emergency, you can always have a contact that someone can reach you at just in case, just so that you don't have your phone always available near you. But for the most part, you can typically go a long time without your phone. What I like to do is actually put my phone on Do Not Disturb. And then also, I try to make sure that I'm not having any texting conversations, because when it's a regular like phone conversation, you can just answer the phone and talk to someone. Maybe you can talk to them and answer emails really quickly or do some other minor tasks for work. But when it comes to texting, then you're just constantly distracted by the buzzing of the vibration or whatever ringtone that you have, or you might be anticipating someone to answer the text message, so you're not focused on what it is that you're actually doing. So my next tip is that you should play music in the background. Having music in the background really helps to not have any dead silence, but it also helps you to have more of that mind flowing for your ideas. Now, I find that music with lyrics actually distract me more than having silence. So what I actually like to do is have a channel that I play or a video that I play on YouTube. I'll have one of those jazz videos playing that's like 10 to 12 hours long. I don't have to worry about having to change a video in the middle of me doing something just because it's such a distraction. But also I noticed that that type of light music doesn't pick up in my laptop either. So I can still have it playing even when I'm on meetings. So then I can still help to feel like my calm vibe even when I'm in meetings. If you're a person that likes to have music playing, I would really suggest that you not have music playing that has lyrics in it. And that's just because when you have lyrics playing, they typically get your mind flowing along with that music, and so you might be repeating the lyrics and not necessarily focusing on what it is that you're doing, and that's something that would actually defeat the purpose of even having the music in the first place. You just want to use the music to kind of be in a vibe and get your work done and be more productive. I'll leave some links in the description box of some channels that I love listening to. They also have different scenery, so I like to have my phone like placed up so I can see the scenery and glance down on it. It makes me feel more calm and just ready to do my work. So my next tip to help you to be more productive when working from home is actually taking breaks. I know it sounds weird that taking a break can make you feel more productive about doing work, but I find that taking a break is actually a time for me to step away from my computer, get a little bit of rest from my eyes, and this is in addition to a work break. The thing about it, when you are in a lot of meetings or when you're working from home, it's really your responsibility to govern yourself. Whether you work for another company or you're working for yourself, you have to manage your time well. And what I find is that when I'm taking breaks, I have to remember that I can't take breaks forever. Of course, I have to get back to work. And so when I'm taking the break, I really like to maybe get some water, go for a stretch. Morning time, I'm really cold, so I like to make myself a cup of tea just to get my brain flowing a little bit. And then in the middle of the day, when I may need just like a little bit of jolt, like because I start to get tired around 2:30, then I like to get another cup of tea just to get things flowing again. But all of that is possible because I took a break. If you're feeling like you may need another source of energy, then maybe taking a break is the best thing that you need to do. Or maybe finding another space outside of your office to do work. I like to work on the couch, I'll work at the bar top. These are things that really help me to get in another space, but also help me to feel like I can get flowing with my work again and get my tasks done. So my next step for how to be productive at home is to get started working early. For my last job, no one really started work before 9 o'clock. So I use that to my advantage. Any work, any deep work that I need to get done where I only need to do the task by myself, but I needed pretty much silence in order to do it, then that's what I used as my time to get those tasks done before the emails started flowing or people started trying to call me on Teams. If you are a morning person, or even if you're not a morning person, you may just want to try this in order to get some extra work done. Then you wouldn't have to stay working so late because you already got that task done. For me, I like getting started with my job no later than 8 a.m. Typically, I want to do 7:30, but lately because of my workout schedule, I haven't been able to start so early at 7:30 every single day. When I can, I will, which is typically on the days when I do my 3-mile walk, which is only Fridays. But still, like, those are the times when I like to get my day started early, especially because my first meeting starts at 8:30 and I'm a person that leads that meeting. So I need to be prepared and in a mental state and not rushing to get everything started. And I find that starting at like no later than 8 a.m. really helps me to get that done. Now in this time when I'm starting my work early, I like to get my deep work done, but I also like to review emails, respond to people who may have been working later than I have, and also make sure that I am prepared for going through my day. So that means that I'm using this time to review my calendar as well, maybe answer any chats, just maybe do some research, maybe check in with people for early tasks, making sure they know that I am reaching out to them and there is specific information that I need from them early in the day. Because once my day gets started and I'm in meetings, it might be really hard for me to respond to an email. It might be really hard for me to reach out to someone because I have too many pieces going on at the same time. And that's where really being productive for your day really means that you are learning what is the best time for you. So if you are a late person and you know that other people might start their day early, then maybe you'll use that time in the evening to get all your emails out, get all your thoughts out from the day, and then start fresh the next day. Whatever works best for you. There is no wrong way to do it. I will just say that for me, it's worked better for me starting my day earlier because that's when I'm most productive. My mind is really ready to go. But if it works better for you to be later, then that's what works for you. So my next tip is for you to sign off at a regular time every day. This I find actually harder to be done, and it's hard because it may sound crazy, but when I first started working, I was always in a rush to stop working, rush to leave the office, and it's harder for me to do that now because I really enjoy what it is that I do. I love being a product manager, and it's really hard for me to step away from what it is that I'm doing. I just always feel like there's something else that I can learn, something else that I can contribute, one more email that I need to send. So stepping away, I find to be very hard at the end of the day. If you find this to be hard too, then I would suggest having a cutoff time for yourself. For me, that's no later than 5 o'clock. Now, someone may say, oh, that is a really long work day. And I guess, yeah, it is. But I feel like I'm being productive the entire time, so I don't feel like I'm wasting any time. Now, when I am working and I know that I need to step away, maybe for an appointment or something like that, then I have a strict cutoff time. Typically, that cutoff time is maybe 4:30 or 4 o'clock. Sometimes it's difficult to step away at that time, but that's where you have to really think about balance. And so because on certain days I have activities that I need to go to, or maybe I wanted to get in like a late evening run, then that's where having something to do after work really helps. Or even if I just feel exhausted and I just want to take a little mini nap before I eat dinner, because that happens, then that's when having that cutoff time really helps me. Overall, working remotely has definitely been something that I've loved. For 3 different companies that I've been working from home for, this has been just enjoyable. I love being on my own time, and I love feeling like I don't have to commute because I hate commuting. I know there are plenty of people that say they still like being in the office, but when you have to drive 45 minutes to an hour just to get to an office and then maybe even longer to get back home, that is exhausting. I'd rather not use that energy on traffic when I can be productive and get started with my workday earlier. If you are a person that's working from home, whether it's full-time working from home or you work from home certain days during the week, definitely leave a comment of some tips that help you to be productive when working from home. Don't forget to hit that like button as well as subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.